Welcome to Woodshop 101, a woodworking audio podcast geared toward the hobby weekend woodworker. Your hosts for the show are Jeremy Crawford and Drew Shore. Join these two different craftsmen for a lighthearted banter about everything woodworking, online education, and how they produce content. Topics could include the latest news, tips, tricks, and designs, to include furniture, crafts, and shop projects.
Hey guys, welcome to episode number 44. Tonight we're going to talk about, answer a few questions that people have sent in about our best practices. Unfortunately tonight Jeremy was not able to join us, so it's just going to be the lovely Sam Ramondi and myself.
Party!
What's going on in your shop, Sam? How's it going?
Pretty good. I just finished a project up yesterday, made a patriotic tabletop cooler out of some leftover pine that I had, so I can't wait to share that. It should be up on the blog by the time this podcast comes out, because I always wait last minute to post 4th of July projects, because I'm a slacker, so sorry guys. But how about you?
Yeah, I don't have a 4th of July project.
Oh, I thought I was the slacker? Come on.
Hey, I tried, I've done some special things for like Halloween before, and I never get good reviews on those, so I just kind of let it go.
I don't know. The thing is, like, when you start doing holiday projects, then you feel obligated to do it like the year after and after and after. And then after a while, you're like, oh my God, the holiday's in 3 days and I didn't post anything. And then you're like rushing to get things done. So it's stress.
Yeah, it gets worse around October, then November, then December. So, and then New Year's. Yeah, just wait for those. Those will just bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, I like pretend that half of those holidays don't exist sometimes. So
okay. That makes it easier.
Exactly. But what do you got going on over there?
Well, I got heat going on here. I'm in my shop right now, and it's blessed hot. I'm already starting to show through my shirt.
Gross.
So, yeah. I intend on getting a mini split here in the next, couple weeks maybe. A friend of mine is moving to Dallas, and he's having to basically condense all of his shop stuff into a storage unit because he's moving to an apartment to begin with. So his mini split came up for sale, and he contacted me and said, "You want it?" And I was like, "Sure." So I got the perfect place for it. It's going to go right there. It's going to keep me cool the rest of the summer. But
how hot is it down there?
Right now it's probably 93.
Oh.
And my shop's probably worse than that. I might open the door just so I can get some air. But yeah, I just finished a Join It video. When did I post it? Sunday? I think Sunday. And by the time this comes out, it'll be 2 Sundays ago. But it's mainly my half-blind lock joint, or somebody corrected me and said it was a half-blind tongue and rabbit joint. So it's been around for years, but I don't know.
Yeah, like poplar.
Poplar, so. Yeah, it's the same thing. But yeah, if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I really like that a lot.
I think it'll look good on that gun case that I'm going to make. I try and incorporate the joint that I make in a Join It build into the project following it. But that obviously won't happen every time. But yeah, it came out really good, and I didn't have any kind of surefire way to do it. I just kind of winged it, and it worked out pretty nice.
It looks nice too, so good job.
Well, thank you very much. So, like we said before, we have a few questions that came in for this particular episode, and we appreciate you guys sending us the questions and voicemails. Those are that always makes the show more fun. And we had actually several come in. So we're gonna go back and forth, Sam and I, and answer these questions. But we got one from Brent Albrecht, or Albrecht. I know Jeremy said that name before, and I don't know if I said it right.
We are really, we're queens and kings at butchering names, so if we butcher it, just know we still love you, and please still love us.
Well, and just keep your insults off social media for us, then. We'll screw it up, I'm sure. But he says, "Hi, Drew, Sam, and Jeremy. I'm getting into woodworking and love your podcast. It's been very helpful in learning this new hobby. For me, a few questions I have for you guys and gal. No need to answer all. Pick and choose which ones you want to answer." Well, apparently we're going to answer all of these.
It's your lucky day, Brent.
Yeah, you've won the contest. First one is, if you had a chance to reorganize your shop, what would you change and why? I'm starting fresh in my 2-car garage, and I'd like to hear some best practices. So, Sam, why don't you start this one?
I'm cracking up because I would pretty much change everything. It's like a really small space. It's really hard to work in there. I have to bring the larger projects outside. So the first thing I would change is I would blow it up and make it huge. But, at the same time, I think for the space that I have, I've done a pretty decent job of organizing it and of putting my tools where they need to be. But what would I do better? I'd probably honestly get a better workbench system going on in there. I think that the ones I have, I struggle with not having enough storage in one of them and then not liking the other one. So that's probably, so invest in a good workbench. Like, do your research before you decide to buy it, and don't go cheap because you're going to regret it. That's the advice I have to give there.
So you're saying sawhorses and a couple 2x4s don't work as a workbench?
No, that might be better than what I have right now, to be quite honest.
Wasn't that your desk for the longest time?
It was. Now I have a actual desk that I couldn't fit in my workshop and build inside. I had to pull it outside and build it. But
That is a good piece of advice, a good workbench. I like not the kind you would just go buy at a store. I mean, building one yourself to make sure that it's nice and sturdy is a really good investment. They do make some really nice ones, but you pay an arm and a leg for them. So if you're wanting to specialize in a certain area on the workbench or a special type of workbench, it's best just to do the homework, put together a design either on paper and pencil and design it yourself and build it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, in my shop, since it is a 2-car garage, I have a little bit more room. But this configuration, and this is just how it was when I moved in, I have an area that has a storm shelter in it, so it limits me on what I can do on one of those walls, or at least half of those walls. I always try and think of a layout that will, almost like a work triangle, I guess you could say, but I try and keep my table saw in the center in the shop, and have my compound miter saw just to the left or just to the right, depending on what kind of layout you want. That way, working between one machine to the next is just a couple of steps. It's not like working around another piece of equipment to get to it. The only downside about mine is that my joiner, I really don't have a place for it. I have to actually walk around a couple of tools to get to it, which kind of sucks. But right now my joiner isn't in full operation. I've got to overhaul it, which will be a project later on. It's got sagging tables and the dovetail ways to make it go up and down are kind of worn out. So I've got to overhaul that. But that is probably my worst layout decision as to where to put that joiner, because I really don't have another place. With my storm cellar over there, I'm going to have to build cabinetry to sit in front of it that I'm going to have to nail down to the foundation. This kind of be a floating cabinet because there's no wall I can mount it to. So, how does
that work? Is it like because we don't have those up here. Is it like a door in the floor or in the wall? I'm saying like.
Well, some people have different methods. Some of them have panic rooms that are concrete. It's basically a concrete box with a door, and it's like a steel door. And they're above ground, and they're built into the house somewhere. Some people have storm cellars that are out in the yard. And mine is a drop-in model that holds about 6 or 8 people uncomfortably. 4 people very comfortably. And trust me, we tried them both. But it's a drop-in unit that sits about that far off the ground and has a sliding door with another section that sliding door goes under that allows for ventilation.
Okay.
Some are actually flush mounted to the concrete, which you can drive a car over and it can be in the middle of the room if you wanted to. But the last place I want to step is into an open storm shelter.
Yeah, I guess like in my head, that's what I was envisioning. Is it a door on the floor? I don't know. I watched like Twister. Like I don't freaking know. We don't have those up here.
It's just a hole. Yeah, you just dive in it, and put a mattress over your head. But no, that just kind of limits me. So my advice for laying out your shop is invest in a software like SketchUp. You can download that for free, and you can lay out your entire shop as long as you have the measurements of your garage or building or whatever you're planning to put it in. and you can move all kinds of tools around that they put in their 3D warehouse, and they're all kind of pre-measured. You don't even have to do the measurements. So it's almost like designing a room to move furniture around. What's the best layout? And that's what I did. And right now this is the best layout I could come up with my situation.
Pretty smart. What do you do? Actually, this is a question I get a lot. What do you do for wood storage or scrap wood storage?
Well, let's see if you can see that. Over my storm cellar, because it's kind of dead space.
Fancy.
I ended up putting a lumber rack over the storm cellar, so it overhangs it by about half the width of the storm cellar.
Cool.
So, see, now that we're on video, I can do that.
I know, it's kind of nice. Now people could be like, "What is he talking about?" I'm gonna have to go on YouTube and check it out.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, for you guys that don't know, we have posted 2 videos effective today, as a matter of fact, with video podcasting. I don't think that many of us or any of the podcasts out there do that. And we are now on YouTube with video capability, but we're still mainly an audio podcast. But we do have video now, so check it out on YouTube.
You could stare at our pretty faces while we talk.
Especially mine. I mean, Sam.
Especially Drew's. He's the poster boy here.
I can hear the Beach Boy music now.
Should we move on to question number 2?
No, we shan't. I'm talking about myself.
Okay, enough talking about yourself. There are other people out there that need talking about today.
Okay.
Today's Brent's day.
Well, what's the second question, Sam?
All right. If you could repurchase tools, would you change anything about a tool that you have purchased?
If I could repurchase a tool. It depends on if I have the money to repurchase it.
I was really going to say, I was like, it depends on how much I'm paying for the tool the second time.
If I had to repurchase a tool, it would probably have to be my air compressor. I have gone through 3 air compressors, I believe, mainly just because the ones that I buy are the small little bitty jobbers that fit into a small little corner of my shop, and I burn up 3 of them. And if I had to choose one, I would get, one of those big ones that could fit, off into a corner in a outhouse area that I wouldn't hear it. That would last a heck of a lot longer than the ones that I've been burning up.
That's a good one. I actually, when I got my little shop space, or AK stole the shed from my dad, he had a huge one in there, and I still have it, but I don't have crazy use for it right now, so it's kind of just sitting and waiting until I can use it. I guess you could borrow it for a little bit if you want.
I've got 3 now, so in case I burn up the other 2.
I'm trying to think, what tool. When I first purchased my tools, I was doing very basic woodworking, but now that I'm starting to try more things and really try different projects now, I'm kind of wishing I had more powerful, drill set, or like a driver set, because what I have now is great for the smaller projects I'm using, but I find that it's not powerful enough for some of like the hardwoods I'm using now, or some of the other types of things I'm doing. I have a project going up soon for the Home Depot DIY challenge. But I'm not allowed to talk about it yet because it's a surprise. But I'm working with millwork, so that's not a surprise. I can tell you that. But there was a point in my project where I had to drill a hole through one of the square pieces I was using, and it just wasn't working out. So that's what I would go for. I'd go for a better drill.
I've gone through a few of those. Just like my air compressors, I burn up a couple.
Actually, I recently burned up a circular saw too, so I'm gonna have to rebuy that for real. So we'll look into a different one.
My brother always says that whenever it dies, it releases its magic smoke. Once the smoke is gone, it never works again.
It did. It was a lot of magic smoke, man. I didn't know that much magic smoke could come out of this little thing.
They need to bottle that stuff so you can revive another tool.
In a way, I'm like, okay, maybe this is a good thing because it means I'm doing something right if I'm outgrowing this thing. But trying to be positive.
Yeah, be positive. Okay, third question we got was for dust collection. Do you think a shop vac with a dust deputy would be okay, or should I look into eventually going with a 4-inch setup? He says, I have a job site table saw and a random orbit sander, no planer or jointer yet. I will go ahead and lead with this one. The vacuum that you have, that, like you said, the shop vac with the dust deputy, since you only have a job site table saw and a random orbit sander, the dust that is put out from those units or even wood chips is super minimal compared to something like a planer or a joiner. If you were using a dust deputy with the small 2.5-inch port, or some even have 2-inch ports, even smaller, you would seriously just clog up your line. And with the hose that it comes with, which is so bendy and flexible, it won't make it very far down that hose and clog up on you. So I think you would be fighting that more if you were using that on a joiner and a planer. However, your table saw, since the dust is pretty fine, as well as a sander, I don't think you would have a problem. You would notice a significant increase in your vacuum ability with that dust deputy attached to the shop vac. I've got one, I just don't have it attached. It's sitting up there waiting for me to do something with it. And I intended to put it on my assembly table vacuum. But yeah, like I said, for the two tools that you have, I think it'd work great. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, right now I only have a shop vac. It's not even that big, but it's a rigid, and it does the job. I kind of just hook it up to everything that I'm using. It's easy enough. You just stick the hose on the back of the saw, stick the hose in the back of the sander, and it really makes like a huge difference. I actually only recently bought it, which is really bad for me to say because before then I had nothing. But now that I have it, it's just I've noticed a huge difference, and there really is hardly a lot of dust in the shop. So I think you're good with the shop vac.
And also, since like you said you had a job site table saw, don't be frustrated about the dust collection capability of a job site saw. They're actually not that great.
Yeah.
But you're actually going to collect a lot more dust if you didn't have one, or versus you didn't have one with that dust deputy. So that's what I would go with, especially if you're in a small shop like Sam's little corner of the shed. You don't want to take up too much room.
Yeah.
So what's our next question?
All right. Are we on the
number 4?
Oh, my screen just rushed. You have to read it.
Oh.
What the heck? Jeremy, I blame you. You're not even here and I blame you.
Poor guy can't even defend himself.
My screen's refreshing, so that one's up to you.
All right. Well, number 4 is, do you prefer to cut dados with a router or a table saw? I actually had somebody ask me this on my latest video, my join it video, ask me why I just don't cut it with a router. But anyway, you can lead off this time.
I think I've only cut a few before. I don't really use them that regularly, although I am building something with drawers that I'm going to be cutting dados with, and I am definitely using my table saw for it. I don't know, I just find it to be faster and more accurate. I also don't really have a great router system right now, so that's just what I'm using, and it works, and I'm happy. So that's my preference.
I tend to prefer the table saw as well. I think there's some give and take with both units. But the way the router works, even in a router table with a fence, you still have to be real careful because the bit can grab your workpiece and sometimes kind of tear up your dado if you're not holding it nice and tight. The bit spins in a circular fashion, so you got to make sure that you're keeping that piece pushed up against the fence really nice. Otherwise, it'll just take off and pull the wood or knock it off the fence a little bit. Unlike a table saw where the blade actually spins into the workpiece in a downward fashion, not in a circular fashion. So you tend to have more control on a table saw, at least in my opinion. You just got to make sure that you have enough downward pressure if your board is warped. I prefer a table saw over a router any day. It puts less stress on the blade as it does with a bit too. That's another thing. I think also a router bit, especially like a mortising bit that specifically...
It took me a while to get used.
Go ahead.
No, keep going. I said something before. I think there's a lag. Keep going.
Yeah, I think there is too. A router bit that's specifically designed for, say, 3/4 of an inch. As you use it, it will sometimes shrink in size as the bit dulls. So it's not exactly 3/4 of an inch anymore. At least with a dado stack, you can continuously make a 3/4 inch dado over and over again, even if the blade gets dull, because you're using shims to expand the width and not relying on the machine work of the bit itself.
Oh, I was gonna say, as with any tool, it takes you a little bit to get comfortable using them for certain purposes. And when I first started using my table saw to cut my dados, it was a little weird. But now that I'm used to it, I'm more confident to use it in a project. So now that I'm comfortable with it, it's what I'm gonna stick to.
Yeah, a lot of people will tend to start using a table saw mainly because that's one of the go-to tools that you have in your shop, and the router comes usually after that. Especially a router table comes after that. I find that setting up a router too, if you're not using a router table, takes a lot more time because you got to make sure that your straight edge is perfectly right on to get a good 90-degree dado. So there you go. I think we've beat that dead horse.
Yeah, right. Done with that one. On to the next. Okay, my show notes are working now, so
okay.
I'll read the next one. Last question. I feel like we blew through these. I see that you have a Patreon page, but I don't hear it get mentioned on the podcast. Is it better to donate via the website instead? I don't use Patreon. I've heard about it. It's been suggested to me, but I guess I'm going to give you this one to talk about it.
Well, as far as the podcast goes, we actually did have a Patreon page. We decided to go away from it as far as the podcast goes because it really wasn't benefiting us the way that we had anticipated. So that's why you don't really hear us mention it that much anymore. I have a Patreon page for my normal channel, Woodshop or Rockin' H Woodshop. I don't really promote it that much just because it was kind of the same way. It didn't really benefit me as much. I plan on kind of restarting that and hopefully get some more activity on it. One of the reasons I don't like Patreon so much is just because I have to physically load my videos to it after loading them to YouTube and all my other social media. It's just one more thing that I've got to download, and download times take forever. And then you got to keep up with not only your Facebook and your Twitter account and YouTube and your blog on your website, but then you got to keep up with Patreon because it's completely separate. So I don't know. It's just, I wouldn't say a hassle. It's just one more thing that you got to worry about. So in regards to the podcast, it is easier just to donate through the website, which you can go to woodshop101podcast.com/listen, and there'll be an area there that you can click on for donations. And any donation is great. You can be one time, many times. You can set it up for a repeated amount each and every month. But things like that really help us keep the website going, keeps the lights on at the shop basically. Pays for the stuff that we use to edit the show on software and just odds and ends stuff that you wouldn't think would be a problem until it comes out of your own pocket. So just to keep doing it, it really helps. I guess that's it. That's only 5 questions we got listed here. So Brent, we appreciate you sending those to us. That was actually some really good stuff that a lot of people probably really wanted to know from us. So if you guys have any more questions, feel free to send those to us by email or voicemail. You can send it through our contact pages individually at our own websites as well. And we will definitely go through those and throw those on the show to answer anything that you have. So, Sam, as we always do each and every week, we tend to run into products that we have either been using for a long time or products that we just bought that really have made our lives so much easier. Or you might get a company that would just send you one and let you use it just for fun.
But then it ends up being awesome, and you're like, why didn't I know about this 10 years ago?
Exactly.
Well, funny you mentioned that, because I actually got my hands on a cool product last week that I will be sharing in the coming week, and there will be a giveaway for on my page. But I recently got my hands on a coffee box from the company Ox. So the Ox coffee box.
That's with two X's, folks.
Two X's. It's in the show notes. You'll find it there. But yeah, I really like this thing. It's a coffee maker that's specifically made for your shop or your workspace. It takes Keurig K-cups. You can also get the attachment to put regular coffee ground in it. But basically, it's dust-free. It packs up into this little cute cube. It has a plug that you can extend and retract. And what I like the most about it is the thing that makes it dust-free is it comes with a container that you pull out, uncap, stick the water in, cap it back up, put it in the machine so that it's completely sealed tight, so no dirt's getting in it. So I can leave that thing in my workshop while I'm working all day, and then when I'm at 2 o'clock and I'm ready for like my third cup of coffee, I can just stick my mug in there, make some coffee, made a cut, and it's still delicious. So that's one of those things I'm like, why didn't I know about this years ago? Because I would be making coffee literally all day long, because I'm way too lazy to just go to my kitchen and make it anyway. So yeah, I definitely recommend that this week. If you're a coffee junkie like I am, then check it out for sure. What about you? I know you don't have anything in our show notes, so I don't know what you're recommending today.
Well, somebody had froze them up as I was trying to do it.
I'm sorry. I don't know. It keeps refreshing. I don't know. I just want to blame Jeremy because he's not here, and usually he fixes these things.
Fixes them or just lets them sit idle for a little bit. Actually, what happens is they freeze on us, you and me, and then Jeremy's like, mine are working fine. I have no idea what's the matter with y'all. That's
what's happening. Jeremy, I know you're playing with the show notes. Get off of our show notes. Stop monitoring us. You're on vacation.
Actually, I don't know if this is vacation to him. He's got his whole shop packed up in a U-Haul trailer. I talked to him yesterday for a short time, and he said it's completely packed up.
That would stress me out.
He's going to try and make this move in 3 attempts, I think. 3 back and forth attempts. So wish him luck on that one.
Man, props to him.
He says his computer is nowhere nearby either, so I don't think he's messing with the show notes unless he's just lying to me.
Okay, Jeremy, I'll give you this one.
Well, let's see. The product that I'm going to recommend, and I actually got this from Hobby Lobby a couple of years back, but it really came in handy on the last 2 projects, or last 2 picture frame projects that I did, and that is a mat cutter, or compact mat cutter. It is fairly inexpensive. I think it was about, I don't know, maybe $100. And it has all kinds of attachments, one of which that came in real handy was a glass cutter. And it's just a simple little handle with a little glass cutting wheel on it, and you just run it down the glass and pop it, and it's good to go. But I keep that in the shop now because if I'm making any picture frames, I can make it custom to the photograph that I'm putting in there instead of the glass that I'm putting in there. So I can either have the option of cutting the glass down to size or making a mat to take up the extra room. So yeah, having that in the shop has turned out to be a lifesaver. So yeah, I will put a link down in the description for that particular mat cutter. And actually, here, if you want to see it, I got the box.
Actually, I do want to see it. And so does all of YouTube.
Let's see. Is it upside down?
No, you're good. That thing's sweet.
Yeah, it's nice. It's made out of MDF, and they have another one that's a little bit more advanced than that one is. But I just didn't want to spend that much more money. I think it's like another $70. I'm like, yeah, no.
See, I like that because a lot of people will ask me about cutting glass or even plexi for frames they're making. Mm-hmm. And for me, like, I don't really know a safe way to cut glass. So I usually just order it, which gets expensive. But I think I might have to go invest in that this week.
Oh, yeah.
But
definitely.
we don't have a Hobby Lobby by me. I'll have to figure it out.
Well, you can order it online too.
Coming for you, Hobby Lobby.
But yeah, it's been real nice. It cuts the mats. It's the mat cutter that it has is a special angle 45-degree cutter, so it has that beveled look whenever you cut your mat. Has a DVD or CD rather with an instructional stuff, so there's pictures for you guys and words for you ladies that are in there as well. I don't know what them words are. Those are overrated.
Like, I kind of like the pictures, but maybe I'll look at the words, maybe.
You just admitted to your being a tomboy. There you go.
Yeah, right?
But yeah, I've made several mats, and you can get pretty creative with how you make those things nowadays. So yeah, it's a good investment. I would recommend it wholeheartedly.
Definitely looking into that as soon as we hang up tonight. I already have the tab open for it.
Well,
is that it?
That was it. We kind of blew through that fairly quickly. It's only 32 minutes into the show, so we got some time to kill. See, this is what happens when Jeremy's not here. He must be the blowhard of the group.
That's it. He's throwing things up. I feel so off. I feel like things aren't right today.
Well, you did come in late from work, and
it's been a long day. That is true.
I worked 30 minutes later than I should have today too. So yeah, it has been kind of a strange week. Well, let's just say this. Do you have anything else planned besides the video that you are going to be releasing soon?
Oh, God. We can talk about that because I don't know how you put up more than one video a month. This has just been really stressful for me. No, okay. It's been stressful for me. I was going to take it back because luckily everyone has been really, really supportive and super loving and super caring and really cool about me being on YouTube, so I feel very welcome, but I'm not gonna lie, the process of even editing one video is really stressful for me at this point. So I don't know how you put out more than one a month. Kudos to you. Tell me your ways. I need help.
Well, it's like you do. I make a schedule. Now sometimes I don't stick to that schedule. It does get a little stressful to do. My wife has got me hooked on Walking Dead, and
yeah.
So I come home, and after my daughter goes to bed, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go out in the shop at 10 o'clock. I'm going to go out in the shop at 10 o'clock. Got my alarm set, going out to the shop at 10 o'clock. And I'm watching an episode of Walking Dead, and I'm looking at the time, and it says 9:54. I'm like, okay, this isn't over yet. So whenever 10 o'clock rolls around, I dismiss the alarm, and then I'm like, okay, another episode. This is getting too good. So,
well, that's the problem is that show specifically, it has cliffhangers, and you can't just watch one episode. You have to binge watch 10 at a time.
I know, it introduces something new every freaking episode, and I'm like, oh, I gotta watch the next one. But that's the problem. I make a schedule, and I did stick to it for so long. I mean, 2.5 years actually it was more like 2 years of sticking to the schedule. I had something planned each and every day, and most of the time it happened on the weekends. I would do a lot of my work on a weekend and post the video on a Monday, say. So I would do all my editing and stuff on a Sunday or Sunday night and try and get it all done. I will say that trying to come up with a project each and every week, not only does it get trying and stressful, but also you run out of stuff to make. I mean, I can outfit this shop to my heart's content, but also trying to afford the money to do so can eat away at your pocketbook pretty quick.
Yeah, that's the problem I find that I run into is when I'm not making things that I need, I'm like, well, now I'm just spending money on crap I'm gonna give away or stuff that I'm just making for the blog purposes. But I don't know, I just find editing a video, putting together a blog post, and putting it on, it's just a lot of steps right now. And I think maybe it's just because I'm really busy with everything I have going on that it just seems really stressful to me. And I don't want to disappoint and then not post something, you know what I mean? But maybe it'll get easier, maybe.
Well, your viewers, most of them, I'll say, a pretty majority of them will understand that you're not going to be able to get one out every single week. There was a time, though, that I had to take a flat 2 months off. Last summer around, I don't know, it was around June, July time, all the way into August. I didn't post a video. I was getting sick all the time too because of the fact that I was really overworking myself, not getting enough sleep because I was up late doing editing for a video. Now I've got video editing down to a science. I can have it done in about 3 hours. But before it would take me about 6. And I wasn't getting a lot of sleep, getting sick all the time, so I ended up just taking some time off, which really did hurt my channel growth. I lost quite a few subscribers. I lost a sponsor. It really hurt. And I came back and recommitted, and it's still hard, especially with my different job that I have. My other job, I had time to work on plans while I was at work. But this job, I have no spare time to do anything but what I'm supposed to be there to do, which, as an employer, that's what they really want you to do. But I tried to utilize my time as best I could with the free time that I had, and I just don't have it as much as I used to. So, like, whenever I come home, I dedicate to family until 10 o'clock, or at least I try to when I'm not watching Walking Dead. And I go out in the shop for about 3 or 4 hours, which is, half of a full-time job per day. And I'm up till 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 to 3 days out of the week. And then I edit a video on Friday. Sometimes I'm up till 2 o'clock doing that. And then get it ready for posting on Sunday. So it is hard doing it each and every week, that regiment over and over and over again, and trying to stay up and come up with new project ideas and content that people really want to watch, because that's one of the huge important things in a YouTube channel, is having content, not necessarily the editing skills that somebody has and makes it a movie magic kind of video. It's more like the stuff you bring to the table that people are going to want to watch, not how you edit it.
Yeah.
So that gets complicated. So,
I don't know, like, for me, it's like, I feel you, because for me, it's like, okay, I know I can commit to one video a month, for sure. And then I just feel like any more than that might get a little stressful for me, but I don't want to disappoint. So, you know what I mean? I feel like finding that happy schedule that works is really going to be a process for me. Also, I'm just starting, so I have to figure out what works. I mean, I put 2 projects a month on my blog, but does that necessarily mean that I have time to make those 2 projects into videos? Mm-hmm. It's like I have to figure out like the balance. But man, this YouTube thing is like a whole other planet for me right now.
It takes a big commitment to do the videos, I found, because just of all the added things you have to do to edit a video and make sure that all your camera angles are good. And yeah, because on a blog, you're just taking snapshots, and you got to remember to do that though. But just taking snapshots every once in a while, your angles are really easy to do because you're just holding a little cell phone or maybe a little point and snap camera. But a video camera on a tripod and mic settings and things like that, it all gets a little bit more confusing.
Are you kidding? I was looking at footage today for a video I filmed, and it looked beautiful. And then I get to like one of the last shots of the process, and it's blurry, and I was like, are you effing kidding me right now? I was so mad because I can't go back and refilm that because it's done already. Like, What am I gonna do? I have to just keep it in and be like, sorry guys. Yeah,
I've done that too. I finished editing the video, got it posted to YouTube, and I watch it, and I usually watch my stuff right before I export it and save it. And I watched it, and like there was a certain section that looked like I had on blinders or something. It was just so blurry. I was just putting a card down on one of the picture frames, and it just looked hazy. I'm like, good grief, it's gonna look horrible. But I've shot many scenes with my mic completely off, and I never noticed it. And then I go into, it was a big scene too. It had a lot of stuff that I was talking about, and I get it in there, and you just hear bzzz.
No.
Like, no.
For me, I live by a busy road, and it's not that quiet when I close the doors in my little shop area. So like the second I press record with the microphone on, you hear like a Boeing 747 like fly overhead or like an ambulance shooting by, and I swear it's like they wait for me to press record on the microphone, and then I'm just sitting there like, really? It's really frustrating.
I like how you said you're on a busy road and a Boeing 747 flies.
I live by JFK, so we have planes overhead pretty much all the time. But like, I don't hear them all day until I press record, because that's when I'm like really tuned into what's going on outside. And so half the time I'll be like, "This is our project." Crap. And I just have to sit there and like stare at the sky and be like, "Fly faster, please."
Yeah. I've done that with trains. I live about 500 yards from a train track, and it seems like I'll hit record and I'll hear it outside, and I'm like,
yeah, right. Please stop.
Yeah. I know you're coming. Just once is enough.
I know. It's just like, I mean, that's the thing. That's the process. Things happen. You learn to work around it. It's been fun, but the editing part's what's been stressful for me. I don't know.
So we've introduced something into your ecosystem, and now you're just...
Oh, I know. It's like, and every time this happens, I'm like, damn it, Drew and Jeremy, damn it, like, why did I listen to you guys? But then it's like, I read the comments that people are leaving on the videos, and I feel better because people are really liking the videos, and that's all that matters. As long as you guys like it, I'm happy, you know.
Well, your first video was like top-notch quality that you're just going to have to live up to now.
I don't mess around.
No, you don't. And you know what my first video was like.
I know we spoke about this, but like, dude, when I need a good laugh, I watch your first video. If I'm having a bad day, I'm like, I'm just going to put Drew's first video on today.
Did you see that I almost played like a newscaster, like I was facing one way?
You were like,
okay,
this is my yes. Hi, I didn't see you there.
Like, in other news...
It's so good. I'm telling you guys, if you were having a bad day, please just go watch this video. I cry laugh every time I watch it. It's so good.
My dog is over here whining now. I think he wants to watch it too. Are you outside or something? Is that what you want? Good grief. I'm in the middle of a show here.
I think he just hears me like cackling, laughing, and he's like, there's a dog whining on the other side of your computer right now.
That sounds like a chihuahua.
Oh my goodness. Now that we got super off topic, I hope everyone enjoyed that extra question that we just threw on in there about, in case anybody wants to be on YouTube. I was about to say don't do it, but I'm just kidding. Do it. Do it, but stick to a posting schedule that you can handle, because I just kudos to you, dude. I don't know how you do it every week.
Well, thank you for that. But yeah, it's rough. So yeah, listen to this episode and take notes. Maybe
not for me. Don't take any notes from me. Still to me. But how are you doing on time?
We are doing 44 minutes, so we could probably go ahead and wrap it up if you want to.
All right. I mean, I guess so. So as per usual, we end our episode by asking you guys, if you guys love us and you want to support us, please do so. You can head over to woodshop101podcast.com/listen. There you can find our show notes, which I so carefully put in my notes for you guys today. Drew is going to have to do some work.
One thing.
And there you'll find our show notes, and you will also find links for small one-time donations, a little bit of what we spoke about earlier. Also, if you listen to us on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating. Only if you love us. Just kidding. Give us a 5-star rating every time. Giving us a better rating helps us to reach a greater audience, helps more people to listen to the advice we have to give, and just gives everybody the experience of being part of the crew. Also, if you like what we do, leave a comment on iTunes. We love reading your comments. We have one here actually from Scoin89. If I butchered that, like I said, we're really good at doing that, so sorry. But Scoin89 said, great show, guys. Be sure to bring Sam. Her point of view was a nice change up. Looking forward to the dining room table. Oh, I love shout outs.
They always are about you. I don't get it.
I mean,
like, thanks for bringing Sam on. Sam is a great addition to the show. Sam is beautiful. Sam can say my name anytime she wants.
You guys, I love you too.
I guess we were just the sucky group, and we finally found somebody that makes us sound good, at least. Mediocre, guys, or whatever.
Okay, do me a favor. If you love me, go on iTunes and leave a comment about how awesome Drew and Jeremy are. Just please do it. And if you do it, I'll do it and pretend it wasn't me. So just please do it.
Well, you do have those fake accounts. You could do that.
I know, right? Just going to make, as I said, I'm going to make mass accounts and just spam everything.
Well, guys, like I had said before, we greatly appreciate everybody's participation in the show. It like Sam just said, it basically makes you part of the group by asking the questions and being on the air as far as having a voicemail. So if something like that interests you, you can go about it many different ways. We have individual websites that you can contact us, and we'll answer those questions on air as well. So you can go to either rhwoodshop.com, DIYhuntress.com, or countrysideworkshop.com and go to the contact section, fill out the really fancy-dancy form we have, and it will send us an email with your question, and we will post that into the show and kind of work a show off of those questions, much like we did with Brent Albrecht's questions that he had. But if you want to ask all three of us a question at the same time, you can go to our email, which is woodshop101podcast@gmail.com, or through the website, the woodshop101podcast.com/listen, and go about it that way. The voicemail, we've gone through a couple of different methods to have our voicemail done, and we found that this particular phone number allows you to be able to call from any kind of phone, whether it be landline, through your computer, iPod, or telephone, whatever. Anything that can make a phone call, this will work on. And we had problems with that in the beginning, but this one works the best. So if you want to leave a voicemail and have your question on air, just call 409-234-3959. Now, I know you didn't have a pen and pencil right then, so I'll repeat it once more. That was 409-234-3959. Just call, leave us a voicemail, and we will put it on air and answer it. And they're always fun to hear because your personality really shines through with those. So I guess that was it. That was a pretty good, fast-paced show, even though it was 48 minutes long. But like I said, Jeremy's the blowhard, so we get through these questions just... Sam and I are just like this.
See what happens? He's the glue that holds us together. We're just all over the place, and he comes in. He's like, "All right, guys, let's get in order. Show notes now. Podcast now."
Jeremy's glue. It's the big thick glue too, the kind that you gotta shake and get out of the bottle.
Yeah, but the kind you can't pull apart no matter how much you pry. So it's a good glue.
All right, well, guys, that pretty much wraps up the show. We want to thank you very much for sending in your questions and listening in. Be sure and give us that 5-star rating on iTunes, and we hope to hear and see you guys in the future. So from Jeremy, who is not here, but he is moving, Sam, and myself, we want to wish you guys well. Be safe in your shops, and we will talk to you on the next long episode in 2 weeks. 1, 2, 3. Boom!